Sticks and stones may break my bones, but toupees will never hurt me. Welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Stan Lund, and with me once again is Tiffany Silver-Braun. Hello, Tiff.
Hi. Hello.
It's been a little while, hasn't it?
Yeah. I have been working a lot, a lot, and also I'm doing a major spring cleaning, basically.
Don't you love spring cleaning days?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You end up finding a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been finding a lot of cool Disney afternoon treasures, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Like all my old Disney adventures, some old Bonkers toys and Tailspin stuff, some Darkwing Duck things too. Although most of my Darkwing stuff is in like one place.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's cool. Glad to hear you've
Yeah.
been keeping busy.
Yeah. With practical things.
Yeah. Anything else new with you?
Not much. Just still working on my art all the time and YouTube videos and here and there. But yeah, not too much free time.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
So today's episode is going to have us doing a lot of traveling. So I figure it might be a nice idea to talk about maybe some places that you or I would like to visit someday. Hypothetically, if we had, the time to travel, the means to travel, the money to spend on travel, where would you go?
I've never been to Europe, so I would love to do like a European vacation. And I also would really like to go to Japan because I've had a lot of friends that go and say it's amazing.
Yeah, they do have a life-size Gundam there.
And my best friend, actually, for her 40th birthday, she just went to Egypt and she saw the Great Pyramids, and that sounded amazing too.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
Anywhere else you'd want to go, or are those like the highlights?
There's a lot of like US places I would love to go to, and we were actually planning, this is just even California, so super local. We wanted to do like a tour of all the glass beaches because there's like a few that are really cool, and it's just like washed up glass pebbles. And
sounds neat.
Yeah. So we kind of wanted this next weekend, actually go on a little glass beach tour.
Well, that's cool. If I could travel and money was no object, places I'd go, I'd love to go to San Francisco someday, just to see the Golden Gate Bridge, since it's my favorite bridge.
That's my neck of the woods.
I'd probably want to go to Belfast, Ireland to visit the Harland and Wolff shipyard where the Titanic was built, and maybe the remnants of the DeLorean motor car factory.
That'd
Japan,
be awesome.
Yeah, Japan's another place I'd love to go with my love of anime and whatnot. I think I'd have a lot of fun out there. And if I could, do it, I'd also love to take a submersible down to see the remnants of the Titanic or the Britannic.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. But we got an episode to review today, and this is quite an important one to Darkwing Duck, even though it's not a Darkwing Duck episode. We are, of course, talking about Ducktales Double O Duck. Now, this episode aired on November 25th, 1987. It was written by Ken Kuntz, who did a lot of co-producing and story editing of DuckTales. He was also a story editor for Tailspin and Chip and Dale and a writer on DuckTales, Tailspin and Chip and Dale. Now, this wasn't just written by him, though. David Weimers also wrote it. He did a lot of producing for DuckTales. He was a voice director for DuckTales and story editor for DuckTales. Also, story editor for Tailspin and Chippendale, and a writer for DuckTales, Tailspin and Chippendale. And the
Wow.
episode was, yeah, prolific careers, right?
Yep.
And and the episode was directed by Terrence Harrison. Now, of the three of them, he is actually one that we lost back in 2007. He directed. He was the animation or timing director on 12 episodes of Darkwing Duck. He also directed 21 episodes of DuckTales.
Wow.
So lots of talent in this one.
Yeah.
Obviously we have some of our veteran voice actors come back. We'll talk about them when we get to them. This episode is very notable, though, that it was sort of a backdoor pilot to what would become Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, well, not quite a backdoor pilot because I don't think it was their intentions at the time, but yeah, after it got made, they kind of had the idea to maybe spin off,
Well,
right?
I had heard. I think this episode was kind of seeing the viability of being a spinoff because that's why, the nephews aren't in this at all.
Yeah.
And Scrooge and Gyro, who are in this, only appear at the very beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Like I think it was meant to be, it was supposed to give like Launchpad his own vehicle. And then of course, they found out the Fleming what's the word I'm looking for? Estate
Estate.
owned the they owned the 00 trademark, so they couldn't really use that for a show title.
Yeah, but
You
they were
know,
allowed, I guess, to still use it for the episode title.
thankfully, yes. So
Yeah.
we got a lot to go over with this, so let's jump right into the deep end of the pool. So where do we start this episode?
So it starts off at the airport, and there's a lot of hustle and bustle, and you see someone get off an airplane that looks exactly like Launchpad, but with black hair and sunglasses and a trench coat, but even has his scarf on.
Yeah. Also doing
And
his best Blues Brothers impersonation.
yeah. And you see two other mysterious people in trench coats, and they say, "There's Bruno, let's go." And you are aware now that it's not Launchpad, it's someone else that looks exactly like him. And
Apparently named Bruno, which we
yeah,
have to break that rule and we have to talk about Bruno.
that's all I could think of this whole episode was that
Yeah.
song.
Now the other agents, the spies, if you will, were voiced by one person in particular we do remember, Jack Angel.
Yeah,
Yep, folks who are familiar with Darkwing Duck will remember that he voiced the Liquidator.
my
Uh,
favorite.
yep. The other spy is voiced by Barry Denon, and he actually passed away in 2017. But some other big roles that he was in, he was the Chamberlain in the Dark Crystal. He was Morloon the Wizard in DuckTales, as well as Vacation Van Honk in DuckTales. But anyway, so yeah, the spies are chasing Bruno, and he's got some fancy moves to try and get them off his trail, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah. He jumps into the luggage cart, which is almost like it looks kind of like a mine cart in Temple of Doom. And he
Yep.
goes zooming away and lands like, where all the airplanes are. And he runs and he grabs the back of one of the airplane's wings, or yeah, the back, what do you call it? Tail
The
wings.
yeah.
And it's
Also
flying
apparently
in the
has
air.
super speed.
What?
I said also he apparently has super speed because of how
Oh yeah.
fast he ran to catch that thing.
Yeah. And he's crawling on top of the airplane. The two guys get into a smaller airplane chasing after him, and he jumps out and lands on top of a building.
Yep, grabs a hold of the antenna from a skyscraper. Then he
Yeah.
slides down the fire escape and jumps into a manhole cover that leads to a subway. He
Yeah.
tries to jump off the train, but he gets trampled by the passengers, and we don't see him again for a while, do we?
No, we don't.
Instead, we
But,
catch up with Launchpad.
yep. And
Yep,
he's walking around with a package in his hand, and someone who looks like another spy says, "Here's the delivery." And he says, "Oh, he's doing his own thing. He's trying to deliver a package to Scrooge." And
yep,
he's confused and is like, "What are you doing? You got to take this package to Geneva." And two guys, which I think are different, a different pair of two guys,
yep,
grab him and say that J. Gander Hoover wants to see you, which is different than the J. Gander Hooter that we know for Darkwing fans.
yep. And LP's like, I already got 2 deliveries. You'll have to wait your turn.
Yeah. So,
But we end up in Jay Gander's office, and Jay Gander has a very familiar sounding voice.
oh yeah, anyone
Yep,
that's familiar with 80s and 90s cartoons will know who that is.
yep. That is, of course, Peter Cullen. Now, he does the voice of Jay Gander Hoover in this, and also the Tall Hat Spy. Now, he's actually not a stranger to Ducktales. He voiced Admiral Grimmets in Ducktales.
Yeah, and it's basically the same voice as the
Yeah,
Admiral.
yep. The Admiral also shares that voice with one other character from a different show I love. He voiced Smash, the leader of the Crooked Ninja Turtle gang in the original '87 Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think everybody's waiting for us to say his most well-known role is that of Optimus Prime from
Yeah.
Transformers.
And then of course he did Eeyore as well.
Yep. So
But yeah,
quite a
definitely
quite a
Prime.
yeah. So he's telling Launchpad that it's the last chance to tell him what he knows. He's like, last chance to tell us what you know, Bruno. And LP's like, well, I know my name isn't Bruno.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, then you see Scrooge walk in, and he's there to verify that, he doesn't know anything and he isn't Bruno. And as
Yeah,
he's telling him that, you see the first two guys walk in, and they have the real Bruno in
yeah.
custody.
I do love Scrooge's line though. Launchpad's brain is like a Teflon plan. Nothing sticks.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone is shocked with the fact that Bruno and Launchpad look so similar. So
Yeah.
apparently they decide to have Lunch Pail be a secret agent for them. Yep, he's to
Yeah.
impersonate Bruno Von Beek and find Fowl. Now,
Which,
this is not quite the Fowl we know.
yeah. It's instead of the fiendish organization for world larceny, it's the foreign organization for world larceny, which I'm guessing maybe they changed that to be more politically correct. I mean, it's not necessarily offensive, but it's a little weird that it's foreign.
Yeah. So LP's not really having this. I wouldn't know the first place to look for chickens.
Yeah.
But yeah, they want him to find Fowl's leader, the infamous Dr Nogood.
Yeah.
Now, is Scrooge on board with this plan?
He thinks it's too risky, but then they explain to him what his plans are, which is to destroy the world's money supply. And then Scrooge agrees and thinks it's a good idea that Launchpad steps in and helps.
Nothing's too risky when it comes to money. So we end up going to Dr. G's lab next. And who is Dr. G?
Dr. G is Gyro, and it's really funny to see him there. And Launchpad's a little confused, and Gyro explains that he can't pay the rent on what Scrooge pays him. So of course he has to have a second job, which is
Yep.
funny and makes sense. But
And
he still must not be getting that much money because we all know he lives in a shack.
yeah.
So everyone's kind of messing with Gyro and not paying him what he's worth.
Yeah, which is too bad.
Yeah.
But Gyro, he's certainly outdone himself with the gadgets, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a bunch of gadgets to give Launchpad. He's got a toupee that he calls a Wig 45
Yep.
that shoots bullets, and a telephone comb, and exploding cufflinks, and
Yep.
a bow tie camera,
Yep.
elevator
And
shoes, and the most impressive one. Do you want to take this one because you're the car guy?
yep. The Thunder Clutch Whirly Thingy, which is a sports car that can turn into a helicopter or a boat.
Yeah, pretty awesome. And it looks like a red 80s sports car.
Yeah. But now LP just needs a new name. I was just getting used to Lunch Pail. But what do they decide
That
to
would be
call
hilarious.
LP?
They give him the name Double O Duck.
Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think it would be hilarious though if his spy name was Lunch Pail.
Yeah.
But
So LP's got to go to Geneva to find Dr. Nogood. First, though, he's got to get used to the controls, because what's the first thing he does with this brand new Thunder Clutch Whirly thingy?
he instantly crashes.
Yep. Either they were able to repair it immediately, or they had a spare.
Yeah, it's just like they reset the scene basically. And it starts all over again.
Yep. So LP then flies to Switzerland, where he makes contact with another spy who tells him that the next contact is in New Delhi, code pastrami on rye, hold the mustard. Now,
Yeah.
LP, he misinterprets this and goes to New Delhi.
Yeah.
Yep, which he flies/crashes to. And then he gets back to Geneva, dressed as a snake charmer, complete with a live cobra. LP, you're a braver man than me. And he gets asked if he got a response to his code, which he says, well, plenty of people were interested in pastrami and rye. But apparently, New Delhi, India was not where LP was supposed to go. Where was he supposed to go?
He was just supposed to go to the New Delhi.
Yep, Nate and
Like a
Yodel's new
delicatessen.
Swiss delicatessen.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, like, the whole time that there's the traveling, it's the map travel with the map view and the dots like flying overhead.
Yeah. Funny thing about that map, actually, according to the map, Duckburg is somewhere near West Virginia, and Kentucky. even though it really is not.
Yeah, little inconsistency.
Yep, just a little bit. But anyway, now LP has to go back to New Delhi because his contact has gone there looking for him, and he's supposed to look for feathers.
Yeah. And then you see
So,
him walking around calling feathers, feathers. And
yep,
he ends up in a nightclub, and you hear an announcement that says that Feathers Galore is about to come on stage. Do you want to talk
yep,
about Feathers Galore?
sure. So, her name is a homage to the James Bond character with a off-color name called Pussy Galore. Now, we will not talk about that character anymore because this is a family-friendly podcast. But
You
you
can just
know,
say she was in Goldfinger.
yeah, I believe she was one of the Bond girls, as they're called.
Yeah,
I I don't remember for sure. Was she a villain before teaming up with Bond?
I think it was. I used to watch all those movies all the time. From what I remember, I think maybe she was not a villain and ended up being a villain. I don't know.
Ah,
I
but either way, you know, Bond movies are pretty good.
Yeah, I actually I love the old ones. I haven't seen the newer ones though.
The
Admit.
Daniel Craig ones are amazing.
Mm,
Definitely recommend them. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I
back
should.
to the episode. LP gives her the code and receives a number 407. What is that?
That's her room number, and she tells him to meet her there in 5 minutes, and you get a heart swipe into the next scene.
Where Launchpad is now in a tux.
Yep, and
Also, we should mention that Tress MacNeille voices Feathers.
yeah,
Uh, we also see her in another role later in this that I'll mention when we get there.
yeah, very quick roll. But yeah, you see he opens the door to the room, and you see her draped across a red couch, and um calls him Bruno darling, and locks the door while trying to seduce him because she wants smoochy smoochy.
Yep. And she
And
says
Launchpad
she'll
at
take.
first is kind of,
Go ahead.
Launchpad at first is just kind of going along with it.
Yep. And she does say she'll take the briefcase to Dr. Nogood at New Delhi, which is the delicatessen. Though she accidentally triggers LP's bow tie camera, which apparently was a going away present from Mom. Unfortunately, Bruno's mom is dead. Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of a going away for good present. What's she do next?
And then I can't remember the order, but all of his gadgets basically go off, and she's confused. And
Yeah,
find his comb phone rings, and he walks away to answer it in the closet.
yep. Either that or maybe he's got to take care of that killer dandruff from the Wig 45.
Killer
But
dandruff.
yeah. The phone call, though, is Hoover checking in, which you'd think Hoover would be smart enough to know not to call the spy while he's out doing spy things.
Yeah, definitely. But all at the same time, Feathers has a call with Dr. Nogood on her own brush phone.
Yep. And she suspects that LP is a spy, and his kisses aren't worth a pucker.
Yep, that's how she apparently figured it out. And it's revealed that she's going to give him one more kiss with poison lipstick, the kiss of death, which is
Yep.
very Fungus Among Us precursor,
Yeah.
maybe, with Morgana's poison lipstick.
Yep. So at this point, LP tries to leave, but ends up in a battle with Miss Galore. And, she's quite a martial arts expert, isn't she?
Yeah. She's doing a bunch of crazy kicks. And
Yeah. One of which kicks a hole right through the building.
yeah. And Launchpad jumps into his car and a car chase ensues.
Yep. Feather's car that she pursues in resembles a Duesenberg.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool car.
Yeah. Not as cool as LP's car, but I think
Yeah.
his car would be even cooler if he knew how to get in the helicopter mode instead of accidentally turning it into a boat in the middle of the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily for him, Feathers has to swerve to avoid him, and the boat turns back into a car.
Yeah. And then they
So,
go. Oh, you want to take it? This part?
no, you can take it since this is the part you kind of wanted to handle anyway.
Yeah. So then they start, they drive up a swirly amount. There's two mountains that they're driving up. And Launchpad, this scene was actually like cut from the Toon Disney version. Like if you were watching this on Toon Disney, they cut out this line where Launchpad says it's your type that give women drivers a bad name, which I just have to stop and say I hate that stereotype so much, and I don't even know where it came from, because all driving statistics say that women are better drivers than men. So
I believe that.
yeah, I don't know where that even came from. Like, men get more traffic tickets and in more fatal accidents than women. So
Yeah, I am. It is good that they cut the line for television, but if you do want the full version, it is both on the Disney Plus and the DVDs.
yeah, and I am a believer in not cutting things out. I think that things should just stay the way that they are. Even if they are
Yeah.
problematic, I think it's part of history and you got to just let things be.
But Launchpad, he throws a taunt her way, which is a little premature. Thought you had me that time, didn't you? And then immediately drives off a cliff.
Yep.
And then, of course, he breaks the remote trying to turn the car into a helicopter. Then he tries to call the DIA, the Duckburg Intelligence Agency, but all the lines are busy. So he abandons the car, and kicks it, which promptly turns it into a helicopter. Time for the trusty parachute, which ends up being an untrusty raft.
Yeah.
And he thankfully lands in a puddle of water, and the helicopter lands ever so softly beside him.
Yep.
Well,
And
we're back to Geneva, though LP almost misses it. Actually has to backtrack, doesn't he?
yeah. Yeah. And
And we see. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
when he's at New Delhi, you see Feathers walking in. Launchpad's following her. And he goes to, this part's a little tricky to explain because it's all like, a lot of this episode is really good. It's got a lot of gags, but it's a little hard to explain, I guess. But
You
he
want me
walks
to
in.
say the quote?
Yeah, you can say it.
He's like, so he asks this deli guy, Fritz, what happened to the lady? Feathers Galore? The one with the briefcase? Never saw her before.
Yep. And he knows obviously that she's there. So he tries to come back pretending that he's delivering bread, and he's using the toupee as his mustache. And he's not falling for it. He says he didn't order bread. Asks if he ordered something else. I don't remember what the second thing was.
Salami.
Oh, salami, and that doesn't work. And then he's like, says the only thing that he ordered was pickles. And
Yep.
so
Launchpad does ask though first if he also ordered cappuccino royale, which could be another James Bond callback to Casino Royale.
Definitely.
But yeah, the only thing the guy ordered was pickles, so LP twirls his gun stash and accidentally sets it off. So then he comes back in impersonating the pickle delivery guy. So fresh, Peter Piper just finished picking them. But what happens that puts LP into a pickle himself?
So right as he does that, the real pickle guy comes in with his delivery. And so Launchpad gets kicked out, and he decides instead to just hide in one of the giant pickle barrels. And he gets delivered into the freezer.
Yep. And he's looking to turn the temperature down in there before he turns into a pickle sickle, but it actually reveals a hidden passage. Something's fishy about this deli, and I'm not talking red herring.
Yeah, a lot of great lines in this one.
Yeah. So LP discovers a huge underground complex. That Dr. Nogood is really up to no good.
Yeah, and then you see a couple of the spies in there, and they comment that they could smell pickles, which I love that that's a thing that now Launchpad just reeks of pickles the whole time.
Yeah. So I will say that would absolutely make me sick. But
Yeah.
LP avoids the henchman by sneaking through the vent, and he arrives in the Dr. Nogood's office. He tries to call for reinforcements, but he says, oops. Is that Oops Ave or Oops Street? But we have a couple of villains that enter the room, Dr. Nogood and Odduck. Now, both of these are James Bond parodies. Dr. Nogood is a parody of Dr. Ernest Blofeld, James Bond's arch nemesis from the James Bond series, and Odduck is an homage to Odd Job, which was a henchman.
And Blofeld is also notably the inspiration for Dr. Evil in Austin Powers.
Yeah. He also carries a cat with him, which is another thing I think Blofeld did.
Yep. And his name is Flowers or something? Flower?
Yeah. I think Flowers. Yeah. Now, Dr. Nogood is voiced by Renee Auberjones. I may not have pronounced that quite right. He passed away on December 8th, 2019 of lung cancer, unfortunately. He did have a role in Darkwing Duck, though. He played the Venerable One and the Curator in Secret Origins of Darkwing Duck.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
That's awesome. I'd say the role he's most famous for, though, was playing Otto in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I believe he also played Paul Lewiston on many episodes of Boston Legal.
Yeah, so he walks in and then he explains his plan, which I'm glad he's explaining it, because just hearing that someone wants to destroy the money supply didn't quite make sense for me at the beginning.
Yeah.
And
so what is his plan?
Yeah, so he has a chemical that's gonna basically erase the print from money and make all money not valuable anymore. And so the only thing that will be valuable is his giant supply of gold, and that's his way of becoming super rich. Which also, I would say this might be a Darkwing thing that inspired another Darkwing episode, Dirty Money, in which Ammonia Pine was the same thing.
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah.
Also, though, his plan wouldn't have really done much against Scrooge because all Scrooge money is gold coins.
Yeah. Scrooge would still be the richest guy in the world.
I love how his ink vanisher is patented.
Yeah.
But peculiar scent has hit Dr. Nogood's nose. Why do I have this sudden craving for pickles? And unfortunately, LP is spotted and captured.
Yep.
So we then get the interrogation scene where Dr. Nogood is asking who LP is working for. You can threaten me, you can torture me, but I'll never snitch on the DIA. You just it, Launchpad. But Flower hisses at LP, and Dr. Nogood says that Launchpad should meet his other pets. No need to push. I like pets. So, where do we go from here?
So he puts Launchpad in a like Roman, I would say, style lion chamber, and he's also in there with Feathers. And it's revealed that because she failed at capturing him, she's now being punished, and she got put into the lion chamber as well.
Yeah. Though LP suggests that she do a few backflips to show the kittens who's the boss, but it doesn't work,
Yep.
and Feathers literally jumps into LP's arms.
Yep.
So LP tries his elevator shoes, but they don't really work the way that he'd want them to. Maybe you forgot the magic words, Dorothy. And he tries again, this time
Yeah.
succeeds, and Feathers is amazed that Launchpad saved her. Hey, I'm no heel. But
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and
odd.
Launchpad,
Oh,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say Launchpad in that trench coat with the elevator shoes is extremely Inspector Gadget.
Yeah. Go, gadget legs.
Yep.
But unfortunately, they have no time for a budding romance because Odd Duck is approaching. And
Yep.
Launchpad tries to run, but he's going nowhere slow because his elevator shoes are still elevated. Though thankfully, Feathers has the trick with karate chopping them down to size. And then
Yep.
Launchpad tries to call the DIA, and this is where Tress McNeil's other role comes in. She plays the phone operator.
Yep.
So he tries to call the DIA on his comb phone. Please deposit 25 cents for the first 3 minutes. I'm talking on a pocket comb here. I'm sorry, pocket combs are not considered approved operating equipment by your telephone company. I'd like to reach out and strangle somebody.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
So
he crushes his comb phone in his hand in a moment of frustration.
yeah, I would be
But he
frustrated
makes,
too.
yeah, he does make a realization here, though, doesn't he?
About he realizes that he has his hair still,
Well,
his
not,
toupee.
well, he does realize it, but I love how he says it. Wait a minute, why am I running? I'm not helpless. Go ahead and make my toupee.
Yeah.
Which is a reference to Dirty Harry.
Yep. And yeah, this was another edited or edited on Toon Disney scene
Yep.
where
Though not fully edited, which is weird because LP fires the Wig 45 at Odd Duck, who catches the first bullet with his teeth. Is this what they mean by bite the bullet? He then fires 3 more times, and Odd Duck catches the bullets in his hands and crushes them to dust. Now, that second attempt, the firing of 3 more bullets, was cut from the Toon Disney version. I'm not sure why the second attempt to shoot Odd Duck was not okay and the first attempt was fine, but
yeah, I mean if anything it seems more crazy the teeth one.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little weird.
Yep. So then LP starts checking Feather's hair. Don't suppose that's a beehive bazooka.
Yeah. And
But they,
yeah, they run away, and she offers her brush phone, and Launchpad tries to use it, and the same exact thing happens, and it asks him to deposit money.
yep. Please deposit 25 cents. I'm talking on a speed dialing styling brush. Oh, sure. And I'm talking on a cordless toaster phone.
Yep. And
So,
here's where you
but
get
oh,
that. Oh, continue.
go ahead.
This is where you get that Feathers, doesn't want to work for Fowl anymore, and she just wants to be with Launchpad.
Yeah. So she's a good guy now, or a good gal now, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
So Dr. Nogood has got his troops together and he's about to send them on the mission. Oh, it feels so good to be no good. But unfortunately for him, that's when the cavalry comes in because I guess the phone operator finally got in touch with the DIA and told them to send help.
Yep. They burst in through the ceiling on ropes.
Yep. So Dr. Nogood attempts to flee, but is blocked by LP and Feathers. And LP tells him that this toupee has a hair trigger. And I love this line. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but toupees will never hurt me. Unfortunately, he's right because the toupee will not fire anymore. I guess it's out of ammo. You
Yep.
don't have any sticks and stones on you, do you?
That's like my favorite line in the episode. Yeah.
So, where do we go from here?
So they get chased into the lab where the vanishing liquid is being made, and he tries to use one of his what are they called? Oh, just exploding cufflinks, and
Yep.
he fails and explodes himself, and
Yep.
he then Feathers tries to slap Launchpad awake. This is another funny part.
Yeah.
And
Are
she's
you
asking.
okay? I will be once you stop slapping me. We should
Yeah.
also mention that this explosion that happened does separate Dr. Nogood from his cat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because throughout most of the episode, the cat has been on his shoulder, so it is no longer with him after this scene.
yeah, he's alone now, and Launchpad chases him up like stairs to the very top of where this giant chemical vat is, which is very reminiscent of like Batman, Joker, vat of chemicals, or you could say liquidator vat of chemicals.
Yep, he tried to use his elevator shoes, but I guess he forgot they were damaged since they rocketed him through the walkway and burst into flames.
Yeah. And he tries to use his other cufflink, and it just bounces off of Dr. Nogood's belly and doesn't work.
Would you believe my belt turns into a cannon?
And the only thing he has left is his bow tie camera, and he flashes him with it. It startles him, and Feathers comes in with a big karate kick, and knocks him into the vat of chemicals.
Yep, that's what I call hitting him with my best snapshot. So yeah, Dr. Nogood is defeated, and I'm glad the kitty's okay, even though it was, I guess, an evil kitty.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know any better.
Yeah. Though we should make mention that even though it's implied that Dr. Nogood fell to his death here, he will be coming back in the next issue of the Dynamite comics. Though that being said, Darkwing Duck has always been a different continuity than Ducktales, so I'm guessing that's a universe where Dr. Nogood never had his confrontation with Launchpad.
Well, I saw things online talking about that, saying that he clearly died in this episode, and I'm thinking, does he? They don't really mention anything about him dying, and if it's the vanishing liquid, maybe it just turned him invisible.
That is possible. We'll have to wait a couple more weeks till that comes out. So anyway, we're back at the DIA headquarters now, and Hoover wants Lunch Pail to be Double O Duck full time, but LP he does not want to do that, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Nope. But Feathers wants LP to take her with him because I guess according to her, he ruffles her feathers. But LP he crashes alone.
Yeah, and you get a Casablanca, like, word for word.
Yep. And
Scene.
in case you're wondering, I do have it right here, word for word, if you want to hear it.
Yeah, go for it.
If that chopper leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon, and for the rest of your life. Here's looking at you, Feathers. So LP flies off at Scrooge.
With a really nice
Unfortunately,
sunset.
what?
The background is really nice in this scene. The sunset.
It really is. Unfortunately, Launchpad should have filled up in gas in Istanbul. And as they crash, we get one more line from Scrooge. Launchpad, you're a double old dope.
The end.
Yep.
Yeah.
So pretty good episode. In fact, the episode has a couple other interesting things about it. It was the most requested episode to be adapted into a comic book by Gladstone Publishing, though as far as my knowledge is, they never actually did adapt it into a comic.
I think it was great as a comic.
Yeah. Though it was adapted into a picture book along with the episode Sweet Duck of Youth. Both J. Gander Hoover and Feathers do appear in a couple other episodes of DuckTales, non-speaking cameos. They both appear in the episode Till Nephews Do Us Part, and Feathers also appears in the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do you think of the episode?
I love it. It's weird. It's a little like, it's definitely its own thing compared to like the other DuckTales episodes, but I think it's good for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we doing ratings?
Yep.
I'd give it, and it's out of 5, right?
Yeah.
I'd
5 dimes. You give it 4 dimes out of 5, 40 cents?
Yeah. 4 dimes. Mm-hmm.
All right. I am also going to give it 4 dimes. I thought it was a very good episode. I love the humor in it. It shows that Launchpad has the true mark of a hero. I think Feathers was such a great character. I wish we had gotten more of her because I think it would have been nice to see her helping the heroes out, or getting into her own wacky adventures, especially since she seemed to be, someone who could handle herself pretty well, in a bit of a jam. I think the villain was, a little lacking, but not too much. I wish we had gotten more of a threatening presence from him, and I do feel that Odd Duck was kind of wasted. Like he was built up, but he didn't even have a single line.
Yeah, especially since like Oddball is like, or
Odd Job.
Oddball. Odd Job is such a great James Bond villain. He was like my favorite when I was a kid.
Yeah. But I will also still give this one 4 dimes out of 5. I think it hit a lot of the great marks. I think the music was on point. The backgrounds were beautiful. The settings.
Yeah, the animation was pretty good.
Yeah. And we do have three villains we're going to rate, or rather, two villains and a villain turned hero. Uh, I guess we'll start with the nicest one and work our way up to the biggest of the bad. So, what would you rate Feathers?
I actually really like Feathers, so I'm gonna give her a 5. And I think that she definitely should have come back, and it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm giving her a 5 as well. I thought she had some great lines. She had some real good action about her. She wasn't just, a damsel in distress. She showed that she could, give just as much as she could take.
Yep, and Tress McNeil
Yeah,
could
always on
have
point.
more Tress McNeil.
Okay, now for Odd Duck.
Um, I would probably give him a 3. I think just like what you said, like they didn't do enough with him. The character design was okay. It kind of reminded me, I can't put my finger on it. He's like a different character. Maybe I'm thinking of the one guy in Fungus Among Us, the like tall guy. It's kind of similar to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I forget his name, but there was like the mushroom council in Fungus Among Us. He kind of reminds me of that guy. But yeah, character design was all right, but yeah, they didn't do enough with him, so a 3.
All right. I'm actually going to go a little lower than you. I'm going to do a 2.5 on him. I think the character design was actually really great with him. He looked very imposing and threatening, but at the end of the day, they just didn't do enough with him. I think it would have been nice to have gotten at least one or two lines from him. I think they could have, had him be more of an imposing threat. And he's someone that they didn't even end up fully dealing with. Like, Feathers and LP, they hide around a corner from him. He runs by, and you don't see him the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
So he is still presumably out there and lurking. Who knows? Maybe he'll come back in this Dynamite comic as well. Maybe get a little redemption. But
Yeah,
I'm
that'd
gonna
be
do
cool.
2.5 for him.
All right.
And now our big bad, Dr. Nogood. What would you rate him?
I don't really like him that much. I think I'm gonna go really low and give him a 2.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because I mean he's just basically Blofeld, and there isn't really much to him. There's not like it's not an interesting spin, and maybe part of it is because of Austin Powers in a way, and it's like I've seen this before, people have commented on this before, but even the way that they did Dr. Evil was kind of a parody and funny. I mean, at the time, like
Yeah.
it was a different spin on that character, and this is kind of like, well, it's just Blofeld.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I think there was some okay humor. I mean, obviously his line about sticks and stones,
Yeah.
and toupees was really good, but at the end of the day, I didn't really find him to be all that threatening of a character. You know,
Yep.
like I would, if he were on Darkwing, I think he would be what we'd call like a C tier villain.
Yep.
Which is unfortunate. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go 2 on him as well. Maybe he'll redeem himself a little bit in the comic, but who knows? This is neither here nor there.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was our Double O Duck review. Uh, we are the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. You can find us on all podcast apps and YouTube. Tiff, do you have any shout outs for tonight, or do you have places the fans can find you?
I just want to give a shout out to Peter Cullen.
Yeah.
Always awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Tiffany Silver Braun or at Regurgitating Gertie for all my fan art. And I'm on YouTube at CarneyTube and Radioact Tiffany.
All right. Fun fact, by the way, I actually stood about 50 feet away from Peter Cullen at one point.
That's awesome. Where was
Yeah.
it?
Boston Fan Expo. He and Frank Welker were both doing signings there. I was actually in the line for Frank Welker because I had to get a Ray Stans picture done for my Real Ghostbusters collection. But I actually snapped a pic of Peter Cullen while I was standing in the line because a friend of mine was, getting his autograph. So that was pretty cool. As for sorry.
I was just gonna say I heard that they were actually friends.
Yeah.
Him and Frank Welker.
As for shout outs, I'm going to give a shout out to Terry McGovern, who voiced Launchpad. He actually had a birthday last week as of the time that you're actually hearing this. So happy birthday, Terry.
Happy birthday.
I hope your special day was awesome. As for where the fans can find me, you can find me on my YouTube channels, DMC Jedi Man and DMC Jedi Man Gaming. Lots of trailer reactions, taste tests, unboxing, and game playthroughs to be found. So until next time, I hope you all stay dangerous. And I have such a sudden craving for pickles. I just can't explain it. Anyway, stay dangerous, everyone.
Bye.